My life peaked in kindergarten, so let's go over the alphabet. A. Jerry Seinfeld. C. B movie. The B stands for bee. You might know it as the movie where a human and a bee fall in love with each other, and yes, that they are canonically a couple. Or you might know it as the movie where bees litigate against all of humanity and win. But there's more to it that you might not know about. Stop being so cocky. Jerome Allen Seinfeld, or Jerry Seinfeld, is a comedian from New York. He's perhaps best known for creating Seinfeld, a sitcom from the 90s and the most viewed TV show in America. One day, when having dinner with famous director Steven Spielberg, he jokingly pitched the idea for B-Movie, a movie about bees and a pun on the term B-movie, referring to low-budget or low-quality movies. Seinfeld had no intentions to make the movie, but Spielberg took the pitch seriously, and immediately got on the phone with Jeffrey Katzenberg, the CEO of DreamWorks at the time. For 12 years before this happened, Katzenberg actually tried to get a hold of Seinfeld to make an animated movie, but Seinfeld was too busy taking over America with Seinfeld. Luckily for Katzenberg, when the phone call happened, Seinfeld was available. And so began the production of B-Movie. Surprise, Jerry. Actually, Jerry Seinfeld was very involved in making the movie. He's had a lifelong fascination with bees, and he gave every feedback on every detail of everything, including my dental hygiene. Hey Mark, why don't you floss more? It's just hard, okay? Also, I was 6 when this movie came out. But I digress. Like I said, Seinfeld gave a lot of feedback, but he was based in New York, and the animation team was based in California, so they used a conferencing app in the mid-2000s. Other challenges they had during the production were the storyline, how to render millions of bees without making the computers explode. By the way, this movie took 5 times longer to render than Shrek. And Jerry Seinfeld getting stung a bunch of times when he visited beekeepers to research for the movie, which probably explains why in the final movie, beekeepers are literally evil. After 4 years in production, it was officially released on November 2nd, 2007, because that was also the same day the first episode of Chowder was aired. I swear that's the reason I am Jerry Seinfeld. Anyway, the critics gave this movie a consensus of stating that the humor is good, but the plot is stupid and dumb. And those are both absolutely right. Let's go over why. Barry B. Benson is a bee who is unhappy with the fact that he has to spend the rest of his life working the same job. So after an introductory scene that absolutely smothers you with bee facts, Barry leaves the hive, which just so happens to be located in the middle of New York City, and he winds up in the apartment of Vanessa Bloom, a florist, and Ken, her boyfriend. After Vanessa saves Barry's life, things get way too flirty between them way too quickly. And yes, Jerry Seinfeld did apologize for that, but anyway, Barry finds out that the humans have been selling honey, which he believes is unfair because it belongs to the bees. And the bees use it for absolutely everything, like deodorant, mouthwash, pool water, blood, everything. So he takes the only logical course of action and sues the entire human race, and wins, of course. There is a lot of evidence against us. And then all the honey is returned to the hives, which causes the bees to not need to work anymore, which causes the world's ecosystem to plummet like my dental hygiene. Look at this, Jerry, I bought floss. And then they fix the world. How do they fix the world? I don't know. So I just remember something about a bunch of bees lifting an airplane. Why didn't I question this in elementary school? As I'm sure you can tell, they didn't really have much of a direction when writing the plot for this movie. It just kinda goes from being about Barry's midlife crisis to being the weirdest romance movie ever to being about litigation in a children's movie and then an environmental PSA. But that doesn't really matter to me because I like this movie because it's funny. It was written by a comedian and there's some really good bits in there like B. Larry King and the scene where John Goodman, litigation man, freaks out about getting stung by Matthew Broderick the bee. And just Ken's entire character. I like how everyone says he's the only sane character in the movie, and on one hand, he almost set his bathroom on fire to try to kill a bee, but on the other hand, yeah, he kinda is the only sane character in the movie too. But best of all, he's voiced by Patrick Warburton. And overall, I just think the movie is funny, and it has a self-awareness about how insane it is. And also I saw an article saying that it felt like an episode of Seinfeld, which I haven't seen, but judging by the fact that I like this movie, I should probably watch Seinfeld. Regardless of what critics thought about it back in 2007, internet culture seems to have really latched onto this one more recently. In July of 2016, Jerry Seinfeld made a tweet jokingly asking people if they wanted B-Movie too. But since people seem to love taking Jerry Seinfeld seriously when he jokingly pitches the B-Movie, the internet responded by making B-Movie a meme, and it's kinda stayed that way ever since. Back in 2016, the idea was that people made edits every time the character said B, but more recently it's been like compilations of all the crazy stuff that happens in the movie, and I get the impression that the movie has kind of garnered a cult following because of how weird it is. Despite all this, Jerry Seinfeld shot down the idea of making a sequel because the animation process is just too much work, and it would make the original stand out less. And I think that's a good takeaway. B-Movie is a very unique movie, and it'll probably be remembered for a long time. In conclusion, remember to floss.